With the NBA Finals coming to an end this week, first, congratulations to the Toronto Raptors. But I felt it only right to end our class by actually talking about two of the greatest coaches in basketball history. So when it comes to actually defining leadership and actually looking at communication styles, what I wanted to do was actually expand and explore the three tiers of NBA coaching. So they're those Hall of Fame coaches, they're good coaches, and then they're the bad coaches. And I didn't want to just compare an amazing coach with a horrible coach and say this is how he could be better or anything like that. I actually wanted to compare two amazing coaches who achieved success in different ways. And those two coaches are two of the most notable names in basketball, especially in the modern era of basketball. First, there's Phil Jackson, and then Gregg Popovich. Phil Jackson is actually one of the most winningest coaches. He actually has a 70% win percentage with his teams in the regular season, winning 1,155 games and only losing 485, with 11 championships, 6 of those coming with the Chicago Bulls, 5 coming with the Los Angeles Lakers. And moving on to Gregg Popovich, who's been with the Spurs for 21 years, which in some regards is unheard of, to have that type of loyalty amongst coaches, the city, as well as the staff. Maybe it helps that he is the GM, but either way. So he's been with the Spurs since 1996. He's won 1,150 games and only lost 506 in the regular season, with a win percentage of 69%. He's also won 5 championships with the Spurs as well. Now, Gregg Popovich has received a lot of notoriety because he's established the picturesque idea of what a small market team should be. So the Spurs are in a small market. When you think about those NBA teams, you always gravitate to what the Lakers are doing, what the Knicks are doing, even the Chicago Bulls. But looking at those bigger markets, but not to be able to recruit stars to an area, to not be able to pull a lot of attention, not to gain a lot of actual media access as well, to be able to gain that type of reputation is amazing. Now, their upbringing is what has established them as leaders and established their communication styles. So looking at Phil Jackson, he was actually born in Deer Lodge, Montana, to 2 Pentecostal ministers. And in his upbringing, his classmates called him and his siblings the Holy Rollers because they weren't allowed to listen to music. They weren't allowed to watch TV. He actually didn't watch his first movie until he was a senior in high school. But he found his outlet in basketball, which opened up a whole new world to him. In his strict religious upbringing, when he went to college, he actually began to study philosophy and Eastern philosophy, studying Native American rituals, Christian mysticism, and that actually kind of established what would later become him being the Zen master. And with him being the Zen master, he actually incorporated yoga, incorporated Zen meditation, sage burning in the locker rooms, and he brought all those things into the athletics and actually brought his teams together using those ideas. One of the quotes he actually enforces on his teams at every practice is, "No man is an island. No man goes his way alone. What I put into the lives of others will come back unto its own." And he emphasized that. Phil Jackson is known for coaching the great Michael Jordan, the great Shaquille O'Neal, the great Kobe Bryant, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. He had a lot of huge egos that he had to manage in different capacities. And what he did well was actually get the star to come down a notch to bring the rest of the team up to their level. And so saying, okay, Michael Jordan, you've been the leading scorer in the NBA for the past few years. And Michael Jordan responded, I can do it again, but I guess I can get the rest of my teammates involved as well, and then we'll win a championship, which they went on to win 6. With Gregg Popovich, though, one of the things that he's done, he actually was the coach of the big fundamental, which is Tim Duncan. And a reason that's ironic is because Pop's whole system is fundamentals. Now, Gregg Popovich, he grew up in an old mill town in East Chicago, Indiana. In that, when you have those mill towns, it kind of changes the culture. Having that small town, not just mindset, but Pop wanted more. His stepdad actually was a wine enthusiast. His parents were Croatian and Slovenian. And so with that, he already had a world perspective, but living in Indiana. So once he graduated high school, he joined the Air Force, went to the Air Force Academy. He actually served his commission playing on the basketball team and coaching. And he tried out for the Olympic team with Coach Larry Brown, got cut. Life happens. But that actually spurred his joy and his love of coaching. And he'll admit, even when he goes back to his high school where his jersey was retired, he sucked in his own mind. Now, he may have been good, but he understands work ethic, and the actual center and core nucleus of the team is what builds a championship. And so instead of taking the approach of finding stars and bringing them down to bring their teammates up, he took mediocre players and made them greater by building the bond and understanding the community. Now, something that both of the coaches did is that they emphasized the big picture. With Popovich, the way he was able to do this wasn't by using Zen meditation and yoga and centering. He actually did it by actually having dinners. By every road game, every game, he would take his teams out and they would call it breaking bread. And no matter if they won, they lost, or they drawed in the game, they would sit down in small tables of 3 to 5 players, and they would talk about anything other than basketball to be able to build a kinship amongst each other. And so in having that bond, they were able to actually come together. Coach Popovich actually never had a losing season aside from when he took over mid-year. So out of 21 years, he has a 20-year win streak throughout the entire season. Now, something that Popovich said is relationships with people are what it's all about. You have to make players realize you care about them. And once you kind of establish that, you're going to be able to actually encourage them to do more beyond their own belief. And so he was able to take, not to call NBA players mediocre, but when it comes to those higher tier players, he was able to take middle of the pack guys and create amazing things out of them by encouraging them to learn the system, by putting them into a system and showing them that the system works. And time after time after time, and 5 championships later, he found success. So just to finalize this comparison between the two, both of them have found success by emphasizing the importance of a team, by emphasizing the importance of understanding this team means more than this individual. And so in doing this, whether that be them having huge athletes and superstars to counter it or to build upon, or having nothing and building a team that can achieve anything, they were able to find success. In this, both of them are the most winningest coaches in basketball. Gregg Popovich may be retiring this year. We're not sure, but his presence amongst basketball elites will always be felt and known. And with that, I've enjoyed my time in this class.